President Obama signed the 2014 Farm Bill into law in February, bringing an end to the long fight for a new piece of legislation. Frank Lucas chaired the House Agriculture Committee during the creation of the new bill with the help of Ranking Member Collin Peterson. Both said the Farm Bill was the chief accomplishment of their time in committee leadership.
If you look at my 4 years as chairman, my 2 years as ranking member prior to that, my entire 6 years was consumed by the process of getting ready for and doing and redoing and ultimately completing the Farm Bill.
After we finally got everything together, you know, Cantor and Sutherland came in and monkeyed with the agreement that we had and took the bill down, and that cost us another 7 months, you know, so. But I figured at some point we'd get it done.
I kiddingly tell people back home that it was just short of a miracle. And what do I mean by that? A true miracle implies divine intervention. This wasn't quite that, but it was real close.
Lucas said if he could change one thing about the new bill, he thought it should have been the new permanent law, but Peterson disagreed.
As hard as it was to pass a Farm Bill this time, as difficult as the funding issues were, as hostile as the national media generally was, I worry that when we do the next Farm Bill in 5 years, what if we can't do a Farm Bill? Now everyone says, well, you go back to the old 38 and 49 law and that will force action. The allotments and the quotas and the parity pricing. No, what will happen is it'll just be repealed and we'll have nothing.
He and I, that was maybe the one place where we departed each other. I think we're better off having the permanent law as a backstop, because that is completely unacceptable, you know, and that will force us to do a bill.
And as long as we deal with Mother Nature, as long as we deal with world markets, as long as we deal with potential terrorist threats to our production capacity, you've got to have a comprehensive federal farm bill.
If this was the, you know, it wouldn't be necessarily a bad outcome if this was the permanent law, but I think the effect of that would be that we're going to end up with this law forever, which I'm not sure that's a good idea either. So, you know, again, we won't know for a couple years who was right about that, but I still think that having the permanent law in place is the right thing.
Both congressmen use very similar language about the prospects for a new farm bill when the current legislation expires.
Sadly, I call the passage of this farm bill almost a miracle. I worry that when it's time to do this again, as the number of people in rural America continue to shrink, as the separation of the consumer from the producer continues to seemingly widen, as my friends on the right continue to want to spend nothing on anyone, and my friends on the left, my more liberal folks, only want to finance the feeding programs, the nutrition programs, and don't seem to care where their food comes from. I worry it'll be harder and harder.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be harder and harder. It's been, you know, when I was chairman in 2008, the bill was harder to do than it was in 2002. This one was harder to do than the one in 2008, and I suspect that the next one will be harder than this one.
But I worry that the next farm bill will be even harder than the last farm bill. If it took 2.5 years to get this one done, what would it be next time? 3, 4, 5 years? Mm-hmm. My goodness, we need more certainty than that in rural America.
The cost of the commodity title will likely increase due to lower grain prices, but neither think the increase will result in reopening the bill.
Roberts made some noise about that, and then, you know, he left me a long email or voicemail saying he had no intention of opening up the farm bill. And I don't think Conaway has any intention of doing that.
In the big picture sense, I think it's a little early to tell. You need to have several years to see how planning decisions work out. Now, the other side of the coin, of course, is if the economy continues to improve, historically there will be fewer people using the nutrition programs. So if we have slightly higher expenditures than expected on the commodity side, will we see lower expenditures on the social nutrition side? Will that offset? Only time will tell. Only time will tell.
Well, I think the bill is fine. You know, it's a good bill, and you know, you won't know until you get 2-3 years into it just exactly how all this stuff is going to work.
But remember, the preface of the Farm Bill was to provide a safety net for all commodity groups in all regions to help you deal with the things beyond your control. Let's see how it works.
Reporting for AgriPulse, I'm Spencer Chase.